Okay. Hi, Biohazard. Hi, Silly Scales. Here, let me write down. Hi, Chippy. Hi, Mushroom. Hi, Sugar Crumb Bear. Wait, let me open the live stream. The chat on my computer so I can see. There's a picture, though you cannot see it yet. Hi, Ace. You're early, finally? You have to go? Just a second. I need to open the live stream on the computer. It's really late for me. Oh, who? Wait, Storm Skills is here? Oh, wow. Hi, Storm Skills. Wait. Oh, wow. Wait, are you... What episode are you on? Are you on watching the first episode? I watched the first episode, and I didn't really... I don't know. I didn't think it was way too amazing. Wait, what? Episode 3? Cool. That's one of my favorite episodes. Episode 3. I like episode 3 because of Kinger. Kinger's... his quote on episode 3. I don't know if all of you have seen the fun... I mean... No one spoil episode 8. Oh, okay. Cool. Let's light the candle. Max's Essa forever. Or... Oh. Yay, Sugar Crumb Bear. Jules. Hi, Jules. I messed up your puppets. I didn't know if you were still awake. That's not the one that works. Happy birthday, Jules. Yeah, don't say guys, don't say anything about episode 8. There we go. You saw it? Yay. Where's the... Hi, Oddly. Six, 7. Who's leaving? Hi, Floyd. So I think what I'm going to do is to double layer this. At least what Sunset Sarah did in her tutorial video was to cut this out like this. And then glue this onto... Oh, bye, Jules. And then glue it onto another piece of paper and then cut it out. Wow, Sugar Crumb Bear. If you need my attention, say my name. I'm going to keep watching Amazing Digital Circus. Okay. Oh, it's Nyx has Essa. Oh, no, I didn't know that. You should watch You should watch it right now. Oddly. Oh, cool storm skills. Wait, does Clip Studio Paint also have like a time thing? Like you can only use it for, or do you have, I don't know. I forget what it was like when I had, when I was using it on the iPad before. Do, um, no, but I have a treadmill thing that I use. What? It's scissors. What do you mean? Oh, is this? Oh, glue. Yes, that's hot glue. It doesn't have a time limit. Oh, cool. That's good. You're gonna play Jandy's World? Okay. Oh, bye. Hi, Skyla Scales. Oh, wait. It limits the brushes and doesn't let you save it. Hi, Astro. You're going to sleep, Astro. What should we? Shells? No, I didn't. I didn't see that video. I I can see if I'm subscribed to you. I think I am on bread scales, but I'm not sure if I am here. Oh, I wasn't subscribed. Okay, I subscribed. I'll watch it later. Oh, oh yeah. Oh, I'll. Uh, oh yeah, you got 24K. Wow. Wait, Floyd. Here, I added you as a moderator again. Floyd's account got deleted. You're so close to 100? Yay. 60? Cool. Good job. Um, hmm. I want to make more long form videos. Well, last week I was trying to finish. I was trying to finish the one for last week, and I didn't finish it in time, so I posted it like on Monday or Tuesday. Hi, Matt. Hi, Carly. Hi, Rain. You remember the first time you found my live? Wow. It was actually the day after my birthday. Um, and I was drawing. Um, what's his name? Rules. Everyone's up to storm skills. That's a good idea. Hi, Ghost. Wait, and I think it's Ghost's birthday in 5 days, and Storm Skill's birthday in 10 days. Hi, Rose. Hmm. Hi, Spark. Can you hear me? Oh, there we go. I think it's back now. I think it's back. Can you hear me now? Okay. Oh, I was saying, Storm Scales, how are you going to do the cover of the book, of the Spark Feelings book? Are you going to do that program or a different program? Or, hi, Cicada. I mean, Cascadia. Always mix that up. And hi, Lexi. Hi, Pick Family. I taped the Wi-Fi cords back together. Don't worry. Wow. Um. Oops. Um. This is so frustrating. I don't know why it's doing this. Before it freezes again, Storm Skills, are you there still? I have a question. Your birthday's in 4 days? Wow. I don't think Storm Skills is here anymore. Oh, thank you, Lexi. Where's Toonsy? Guys, can someone summon Toonsy? Um, Silly Scales, could you... Okay, well... Oh, bye. Bye, Rain. Should you continue the Holly remake? Yeah. Um, okay, let's... Let's see. Will I make more of them? I have made more before. I made some other ones. Hi, Soulbound the Dragon. Okay, I'm gonna read the psalm for today, and if anyone has prayer requests, you can let me know, because we're gonna pray after we read the 10 out of 10 art would eat again. Thank you. Why is my printer making a sound? Oh, Sugar. Hi, Sugar Dragon. We're gonna pray after we read the psalm, so if anyone has prayer requests. I use Ohuhu markers, yes. Hi, Dipper Pines loves Pacifica. Or Peck. Yeah, Alright. Oh, welcome back. Hi, Kinos. Yay, 500 subs. Wow, good job. Alright, pray that I get motivation to finish the Holly remake. Okay. I better... Here, let me... I was writing them down in this book here. Hi, Strawberry. Oh, okay. Sugar's friend... Getting surgery in 2 weeks. Yes, I'm left-handed. Episode 9. I hope episode 9 is 2 hours long. Okay. Can someone... Oh, okay. Should I write Max or Nix? Alright. Um... Let's read the psalm for today. And could someone share the live stream and tag Toonsy so that Toonsy comes? Because I'm going to read a chapter of the book that... Thank you. Okay. I think we're on Psalm 73. Oh, I think Sugar or Silly Skills is going to do it. But, I think there's like an arrow button to share the live stream. Okay. Hi, Phoenix. Alright, let's read this. Okay. Truly, God is good to Israel, even to such as are of a clean heart. But as for me, my feet were almost gone, my steps had well nigh slipped. For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued as other men. Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness, they have more than heart could wish. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. Therefore his people return hither, and waters of a full cup are wrung out to them. And they say, how doth God know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? Thank you. Behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. Verily, I have cleansed my heart in vain, and washed my hands in innocency. For all the day long have I been plagued and chastened as every morning. If I say I will speak thus, behold, I should offend against the generation of thy children. When I thought to know this, it was too painful for me. until I went up, until until I went into the sanctuary of God. Then I understood their end. Surely thou didst set them in slippery places. Thou castest them down into destruction. How are they brought um into sorry, I lost the place. How are they brought into desolation as in a moment? They are utterly consumed with terrors, as a dream when one awaketh. So, O Lord, when thou awakest, thou shalt despise their image. Thus my heart was grieved, and I was pricked in my reins. So foolish was I and ignorant. I was as a beast before thee. Nevertheless, I am continually with thee. Thou hast holden me up for my um, thou hast hold me up by my right hand. Thou shalt guide me with thy counsel, and afterward receive me to glory. Whom have I in heaven but thee? And there is none upon the earth that I desire beside thee. My flesh and my heart faileth, but God is the strength of my heart, and my portion forever. For lo, they that are far from thee shall perish, and thou hast destroyed all them that go a whoring after from thee. But it is good for me to draw near to God. I have put my trust in the Lord God, that I may declare all thy works. I like this verse. Whom have I in heaven but thee, and there is none that I desire upon the earth desire beside thee. And my flesh and my heart faileth, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. And look, we're on Psalm 73. We've read 73 Psalms out of the 150 Psalms. Isn't that crazy? We've read 73 Psalms on live streams. You're leaving? Oh, bye. Okay. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for this live stream that we got to do tonight. And please bless everyone who's watching, and thank you that we could work on the puppet and talk and read the Bible. And I pray for the prayer requests. I pray for motivation for Silly Scales to work on her Holly remake, and for Sugar's friend who's getting surgery in 2 weeks, and for Max's dog who's getting old and has skin problems, that you would help them figure out what's wrong with the dog, and also help the dog not to be in too much pain. And also I pray for Beaner Dragon's knee, and for for Spaghetti Strike, whose rabbit died, that you would help her not to be too sad. And I pray for Grimm's grandmother, and for Spirit Strike's family member who she has prayer for. I pray for them, that you would help in whatever situation they're in. And for Toonsy's sale, and thank you that we could do this tonight. And in Jesus' name, amen. Toonsy, yay. Lemon is sick? Yeah. Oh, wait, I forgot to pray for Lemon. And pray for Lemon. Please help Lemon to feel better soon. In Jesus' name, amen. Look, I even wrote down that Lemon prayer request. Okay. Yay. Why is the printer turning on? Okay, let's read Freddy the Pig. Oh wow, you got cupcake frosting on your iPad. Amazing. Oh, I see, Toonsy. You turned it on? You need copies? Okay. I don't know what that is, Skyless. Oh, her antlers are hard? I see. Alright, let's start. So, when we finished the last chapter, this part was happening. Jinx was painting the face for the clockwork boy that is supposed to be what? I just lost the place. Good grief. That was that they're going to it's supposed to be a friend for Adniram. Okay, I think we are here. Here we go. And the chickens got married, yeah. An engineer for Bertram. Freddy's invention of pockets for animals had not really been a success. On his trip, he had interested a good many animals in them, partly because he was a high class salesman, and partly because they were such a new idea. Let me move this here. Um, but once the novelty wore off, the animals forgot about them and stopped wearing them. Trouble is, said Freddy, one warm May day. Oh, okay, great. One, said Freddy, warm May day when Georgie and Jock, the collie, were resting on the bank of the duck pond after a dip. Most animals have got along without carrying things around with them all their lives, and so they don't really feel a need for pockets. If they'd been born with pockets, they'd use them. The way I feel about it, said Jock, they're kind of hot and uncomfortable to wear all the time, but I would like them on a long trip. Only most animals don't take long trips. Uh-oh. Oh no, Twinsy. Don't worry, Twinsy. I'm pretty sure you don't need to worry. There comes Adniram, said Georgie. He looked toward the barn, from which a figure came striding quickly towards them. Georgie's tail began to vibrate, and Jock's gave a couple dignified thumps on the ground. Wait, Sashimi isn't here. Guys, Sugar, could you share the live and tag Sashimi? Thank you, Sugar. Sashimi is sleeping. Oh, I knew someone was missing. Also, Blood Angel Dragon is missing, but she didn't hear all of the story before that. I don't know. Plus, I think she wanted to go to sleep. Because last time she said it was too late. Okay, silly skills. Toonsy, did you see the messing up Jules puppets? Hi, Toonsy. When you feel that nothing is connected. You did? Yay. Wow. Um, so you watched the David movie. I watched the David movie too. Um, my favorite one was, I forgot. Okay. What's her user again? Um, Sashimi. I don't remember exactly. What is my favorite? Um, my favorite was the abstracted Jules. Oh, by Soulbound the Dragon. Okay. Okay, it's okay if we can't find sashimi. Let's just keep reading. You dogs are awfully lucky having tails that you can wag, said Freddie. It's such an easy way of being polite. You don't have to say, "How do you do? I'm glad to see you." You just let your tails do it for you with a couple of wags. You know, when I was little, I spent hours trying to wag my tail, but I couldn't move it. It never changes its expression at all, except to come uncurled a little when the weather's damp. What good is a tail like that? Oh, you can tag her on your alt, right? Oh, bye, Strawberry. Let me see. Oh, if I find... Here, let me find her. Here it is. Sashimi Dragons. I'll just here, I'll just post it in here, and someone can... No, it's not working. Here, is that okay? Alright, I'm gonna keep reading. What? Okay. Where am I? It's... It's ornamental, said Georgie. It adds something, Freddie, really. It sort of finishes you off, like a little flag. Hi, Blair. Finishes me off all right, said Freddie. It's like the period at the end of a sentence. It shows where I come to an end. Say, what's the matter with Adoniram? Why does he walk so funny? All three turned to look at the figure, now quite close to them. Um, he was striding along with a queer, stiff gait, coming straight towards them, and making a funny clicking sound. Goodness, said Freddie suddenly. It isn't Adoniram, it's the Clockwork Boy. Here's a picture. Wow. Um, Uncle Ben's finished him. Hey, look out, you'll go into the pond. You broke your sashimi. Yay. Hi. Okay, we just started the chapter. So far, Freddy was complaining about his tail, and then they saw Adoniram. Hi, Lily Miller. They saw Adoniram coming, and then they realized it was this, the Clockwork Twin. It wasn't Adoniram. All right. Hey, look out! You'll go into the pond. But the figure strode straight through them as they rolled aside to avoid being stepped on, and went over the bank and into the water with a splash. Stop him! Stop him! Shouted a voice, and they saw Uncle Ben come stumping along toward them as fast as his short legs would carry him. Jacques had jumped into the water, and Freddie and Georgie followed him. The Clockwork Boy was thrashing around in the pond, still making walking motions with his legs. He was dressed in a suit of Adoniram's, and the animals finally caught hold of his coat sleeves and dragged him in towards the bank. Leave him there, said Uncle Ben, who had come up by this time, till he runs down. That's right, said Jock. He can't drown, can he? The collie climbed out, and the others followed him. They all looked at Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben was evidently struggling with a thought. He had both hands buried in his whiskers and was tugging them frantically as he stared down at the figure, which was laying on its side with a placid smile on its face, as it as if entirely unaware of the furious activity of its legs. "'Twon't work," said Uncle Ben at last. "I should say it worked almost too well," said Freddie. Uncle Ben shook his head. "Start him," he said. "Can't stop him. Hadn't been for Pawn, been in Cinterboro by now." "Oh, bye, silly scales." "Oh, yay, Noto." Um, so Cinterboro is like the town. Uncle Ben saying that if it hadn't been for the lake, for the pond, he would have been all the way in town by now. "That's right," said Freddie. "You've got to be able to stop him doing things after you start him. Never thought of that." "No engineer," said Uncle Ben. Most of Uncle Ben's conversation was like that. He could put a whole sentence into 2 words. Some people found it difficult to understand what he was talking about, but Freddie had worked with him so long by now that he knew what the old man meant. "Of course," he said, "he's no more good this way than an automobile without someone to drive it. We've got to have somebody to run him." "Hi, vampire." Cane. Bread. Okay. "Animal's too big," said Uncle Ben. "Yes, even Georgie would be too big," said Freddie. "We'd have to build a place for him to sit inside and—" "How about Ronald?" said Georgie. "He's small enough." Oh no, Tootsie, wow. "Ha!" exclaimed Uncle Ben. "Rooster!" He drew a sheaf of plans out of his pocket, spread them out on the bank, and began studying them. After a few minutes he nodded his head, folded up the plans, and went up to the barn for a wheelbarrow. Then when he got back, he dragged the Clockwork Boy out of the pond with the help of the animals, loaded him, still kicking, into the wheelbarrow, and took him up into the barn. Wow. "Hi, hello, Extinguisher. Welcome back, Extinguisher." It was Hickory Smoke Freddy. Wow. Um, Freddy and the 2 dogs went over to the hen house to talk to Ronald. The rooster was delighted with the idea of being engineer for the Clockwork Boy. "It'll be just like having an automobile," he said. A car. "I can drive him to Cinterboro, go anywhere I want to." "The idea is to have a playmate for Adoniram, remember," said Freddie. "Not just for you to have a lot of fun by yourself and taking people for rides and so on." "Oh, quite," said Ronald. "You leave it to me. When do I get my first lesson?" "You'd better go talk to Uncle Ben," said Jock. It was several days before Uncle Ben completed the alterations which were necessary, but it was a nice job when it was done. There was a little door in the Clockwork Boy's back for Ronald to get in by, and a window just at one side of his necktie, so to look out through, and inside there was a perch for Ronald facing all the little levers that controlled the arms and hands and head and legs, and there was also a microphone rigged up so Ronald could talk from oh so that Ronald could talk for him. Wow, Jonesy. It took Ronald some time to learn how to work all the levers properly, for the boy was much more complicated to run than an automobile. Nothing had been said to Adoniram about all this, although most of the animals knew about it. So the first time Ronald took the boy out, they waited until Adoniram had gone to bed. It was a bright moonlit night. The Clockwork Boy stood in the doorway of the big barn, surrounded by a ring of excited animals, while Uncle Ben wound him up good and tight. Then Ronald fluttered up into the little door and closed it behind him. He pulled a couple of levers, and the boy put out his hand over his heart and bowed to the animals. "Quiet, quiet," said Freddie, as the animals started to raise the cheer. "You all right, Ronald?" "Okay, here we go," boomed a great voice that echoed back from the surrounding hills. "Great Scott!" exclaimed Jinx. "We can't have a voice like that in him. Sounds more like a lion than a boy." But Uncle Ben stepped forward. opened the little door and, reaching in over Ronald's head, made a few adjustments in the microphone. "Now try." "Okay, here we go," came a rather hollow but much smaller voice. Mr. Bean saw the rooster quite clearly in the moonlight. "Ha! Chicken thieves, eh?" he shouted, and he aimed at Bertram's legs and pulled the trigger. There was a loud bang and a rattle of shot, but of course they didn't hurt Bertram any. "Well, I'll be switched," said Mr. Bean. "I know I hit him, but he never jumped." "Well," and he pumped another cartridge in the trigger and pulled the trigger. Bang! And this time one of the shots somehow hit the lever that made Bertram walk. He started off towards the gate, and he walked into the gate and knocked it flat and went on into the side of the cow barn with a loud crash, and his head fell off. And at that, Mr. Bean gave a loud yell and slammed down the window. For a minute there was a complete silence. Then from the shadow of the barn doorway, where Uncle Ben was standing, came a queer, rusty, creaking sound. And Uncle Ben came out into the moonlight barnyard and danced around, waving his arms and stamping until he looked like a gnome out of some old fairy tale book. Then all the time that strange, wheezy, rusty sound came out of him. I think Freddie was the first who realized it was the sound of Uncle Ben laughing. Under the sound of the laughter, Freddie could make out faint rustlings and scrapings, which was the sound of the other animals all sneaking off to bed. But he and Jinx stayed hidden in the little tool shed where they had taken refuge, and pretty soon Uncle Ben calmed down and went up to the house. After a minute, a light went on in the kitchen, and for quite a while there was a rumble of voices as Uncle Ben explained to Mr. Bean what had happened. Then Uncle Ben came out again, followed by Mr. Bean and in his nightcap, long white nightshirt, and carpet slippers, carrying a lantern. The two men were both laughing now, and they went down and picked up Bertram and stuck his head. Guys, can you hear me? Wait. Hi, Addie. Addie, wow. Can you hear me now, guys? Hello? Okay. Um, Addie, are you still here? Oh, okay. Addie, my brother and I made, chicken, what's it called? Chicken paprikash the other day. Oh, okay. Um, yeah, it was good. I made, like, noodles, homemade noodles to go with it. Alright. Good night, Jinx, and the two animals went off to bed. Isn't it really late for you, Addie? Alright, let's read the next chapter, because it's, it's not 11 yet. Adoniram's uncle comes for him. Uncle Ben repaired Bertram the next morning, and at noon Ronald hopped into the control room and drove the Clockwork Boy up to the house to meet Adoniram. It's lagging? Look, look how far we are in the book. We have that much left. Is it okay now? Ronald hopped into the control room and drove the Clockwork Boy up to the house to meet Adoniram. Bertram shook hands with the boy and with Mr. and Mrs. Bean, and walked and ran and sat down and threw stones and showed some of the things he could do. "Land sakes," said Mrs. Bean, "you'd swear the creature was alive. What won't Uncle Ben think up next?" "You stubbed your toe? Oh no. I'm sorry, Extinguisher." "Here, Extinguisher, can you extinguish this light?" "Thank you. Hi, Rock Skills." "The Beans are a smart family," Mrs. Bean said, her husband. "Come back?" Candle. Yeah. Should we light another candle? There we go. What had you? Let's all leave and not tell Jonesy. How many candles do I have? Most of them are used up. See, they're like all gone. Um. Oh wow. Oh no, Jonesy. "It takes you to say it." So said Mrs. Bean. "Yes, sir," said Mr. Bean. "Smart's the word for 'em. But I can only think of one of 'em that's ever did anything smarter than what Uncle Ben's done with his Bertrand." "And what is that, Mr. Bean?" "That was when I married you," said the farmer, and slapped Mrs. Bean on the shoulder. "Get along with you," said Mrs. Bean, blushing. And then she turned to Adoniram and said, "Well, how do you like him?" "Oh, I think he's grand," said the boy. "We can have lots of fun together." No, he probably wouldn't have a British accent. It's just an American boy. Um, "We can have lots of fun together." "How about going fishing this afternoon, Adoniram?" said Bertram. Adoniram was delighted with the idea, and he ran and got the poles and dug some worms, and he and Bertram strode off down the road together, talking and laughing as happily as if they were really two boys going fishing. The animals had all gathered by the back door to see Bertram presented to the family, and now several of them started after the boys. But Mr. Bean called to them to stop. "You animals mind your own business. You're going to have plenty of chances to look at Bertram without chasing after him now. What fun do you think Adoniram will have fishing if there's an animal hiding in every bush?" Uh, I know what it was like the time you were all playing detective, and I couldn't move a blade of grass without finding a pig or a rabbit under it. Leave him alone." And he picked up his hoe and started for the garden. But Mrs. Bean stopped him. "Before you go," she said, "did you see this letter that came this morning? It's from Adoniram's folks, but I didn't want to speak about it in front of him." Mr. Bean took the letter, put on a pair of very small steel spectacles. Spectacles are glasses. You need to do a clockwork quiz to see if people were actually listening. Star Therian, hi. Wow. How are you doing, Star Therian? You remember 2 chapters? That's good. Okay. Mr. Bean took the letter and put on a pair of very small steel spectacles and read the letter through, once upside down, and then he read it through right side up. Then he scratched his head and said, "Shucks, they're coming for him tomorrow," said Mrs. Bean. You started a business. Whoa. Um, Addie, what time is it for you? 2 a.m. Oh, wow. Oh, no. What? Exclaimed Uncle Ben. They won't they won't let us adopt him? Said Mrs. Oh, they won't let us adopt him, said Mrs. Bean. They want him back. Fury, said Uncle Ben. Nothing we can do, Mrs. B said. Mrs. B said Mr. Bean. They got the rights of it, seemingly. Poor boy, I was getting right fond of him, too. Well, they shan't have him back, said Mrs. Bean, getting very red. It was the first time any of the animals had ever seen her get angry. Horrid, cruel people. I won't give him up. Now, Mrs. B, said her husband. No use getting hit up over it. I talked it all over with Mr. Jerks, the attorney, over at Centiboro, and he says, I don't care what your old attorney says, burst out Mrs. Bean. That boy's not going back. Not if I have to get that old shotgun of yours and drive him off. Uncle Ben and Mrs. Bean and Mr. Bean, Uncle Ben and Mr. Bean looked at each other and pursed up their lips, and then they looked around at the ring of interested animals. We mustn't get the wrong side of the law, said Mr. Bean at last. Just the same, it seems as if we ought to be able to think up something. After all, we've got a whole day. You animals, he said suddenly, what's the matter with you all? You're smart. You've got the name of being the smartest animals in York State. Well, prove it. Get to thinking. Hold a meeting. Hold 6 meetings, but think of something before tomorrow. Wait a minute, he added, as the animals started to walk away, all, try- all trying very hard to look thoughtful. Remember, we don't want to hurt these people, but remember, too, that animals can do things that humans can't. If we drive these folks away, they'll just get to the sheriff and maybe arrest us. But the law can't touch animals. Now go think. Hi, Donut Dragons. It keeps lagging? Oh. 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 Oh, Moon Dragons. Hi. So, okay. It's lagging. That's hard. I don't know why it's doing that. You don't like Reese's peanut butter cups? Justice for us all. Hi, Justice for us all. I remember you. It's been so long. It was like when I was working on the Derpy Tiger puppet. Okay. I'm reading this book, Freddy the Pig, The Clockwork Twin. Okay. The amount of thinking that a couple of dozen farm animals can do in an afternoon is quite surprising. By supper time. By supper time, when Adoniram and Bertram came back with a nice string of yellow perch, they had thought of 16 separate plans. The meeting they held in the barn that night was one of the hottest debates in the history of the bean farm. They voted and voted, and at last, at midnight, when several animals had fainted from the excitement and had been carried outside, and Charles had spoken until he was so hoarse that he could no longer be heard, a plan was adopted. It wasn't a very good plan, but it seemed the best of the 16. Oh, okay. Uh, the following day, scouts were posted on the hills overlooking the road by which Adoniram's relatives were expected to arrive. Adoniram had been taught out of the had been no what got out of the way by sending him and Bertram off to Cinterborough in the phaeton, drawn by Hank. Mr. Bean had given them each 50 cents and told them to have a good time, and he had privately told Hank to get them back before supper. You're actually good at reading. I'm actively falling asleep. Oh, wow. Yay. Okay. At 2 o'clock, a handkerchief fluttered on the top of Swan Hill and was answered from half a dozen other heights and from the roof of the Bean House, where two squirrels were keeping watch. Adoniram's uncle and aunt, rattling along eastward in their old car, saw nothing unusual in the peaceful countryside until, about 2 miles from the bean farm, they came upon 3 cows standing in the middle of the road, who lowered their horns threateningly as the car came to a stop. So um, this is Adoniram's uncle and aunt, who he used to live with, and they were mean to him, and now they're coming back to get him, and these cows are blocking their way. Adoniram's uncle got out and picked up a stick to drive the cows away, but as he did, 8 skunks came out of the bushes and advanced upon him. These were Sniffy Wilson and his family, who had volunteered for the uh, first line of defense. Adoniram's uncle bounced back into the car as if he had springs in his heels, but instead of turning around as the animals had expected, he swung out into the ditch around the cows, knocked over Sniffy and Sniffy's little brother, and 2 seconds later was roaring up on the road again. Oh, hi, Burst. Hi, Burst. Um, well, that's that, said Mrs. Wiggins. He's got more spunk than I thought he'd have. He isn't a man that gives up easy, said Mrs. Wurzburger. I'm afraid he'll get Adoniram yet. Well, so long, girls, called Sniffy. Sorry we hadn't no better luck, but if you need us again, we're ready, and they drove back into the bushes. The cows followed along after the car at a trot, and a quarter of a mile further on, uh, up with it. It had stopped again, and Adoniram's uncle was working at a small tree which had fallen across the road. Freddie had hired a couple of beavers to cut it down that morning. Look out, yelled Adoniram's aunt. Here comes those cows. The man turned to face them, and at that moment, out of the bushes burst a dozen animals, horses, sheep, a goat, and Peter, the big bear from down in the woods. They closed in on Adoniram's uncle, and Peter held him while Jinx, who was clever at knots, tied him up in tight with a length of clothesline. Wait, you're going? Wait, oh, okay. We can stop here. Oh. Oh, you're not going. Oh, okay. Load him in the car, boys, yelled Jinx. We'll drag him down to the river and give him a good ducking. We'll teach him to be mean to little boys. We'll send him back where they came from. Now, this part of the plan would probably have worked all right, and Adoniram's aunt and uncle would probably have been so thoroughly scared by the behavior of such wild animals that they would have never ventured into the part of the country again. But they had thought there might be trouble getting Adoniram back, so they had brought along a gun. They weren't very nice people. The first thing the animals knew about the gun, there was a bang and the whistle of a bullet over their heads. Fortunately, Adoniram's aunt wasn't a very good shot, so she didn't hit anybody, but there was nothing for any sensible animal to do but run. In 3 seconds after the report, there wasn't an animal in sight. Adoniram's aunt got out and untied her husband, and after he had danced up and down the road for a few minutes in his rage, he got back into the car and they drove on. and pretty soon they came to the bean farm. Everything was quiet around the farm, not even a chicken in sight. The car drew up at the gate, and Adoniram's uncle started to get out. Then he stopped suddenly, for on the gate was a large sign, measles. Look at this, he said. I can't go in here. I never had measles. You had German measles, said his wife. It ain't the same thing, he said. Anyway, what's the use of arguing? You've had both kinds. Get out and go in and get Adoniram. So after quite an argument, she got out and went into the gate. But in less than a minute, she was back again. There's another sign on the door, she said. It says scarlet fever. I never had scarlet fever, but you did, so I guess you'll have to go in. I can't go in, said Adoniram's uncle. This sign says measles, and I never had measles. You had German measles, said Adoniram's aunt, and the argument began all over again. All around the barnyard, behind trees and bushes and sheds and fences, the animals were hidden, and as the argument went on and on, got hotter and hotter, they squirmed and panted and stuffed grass in their mouths to keep from laughing out loud. But pretty soon Adoniram's uncle got so mad at Adoniram's aunt that he slapped her, and then she pulled his hair, and they fought each other until they were out of breath. And at last Adoniram's uncle said, Well, all right, we won't either of us go in. No use wasting time here. We'll go down to Cinterboro and telephone. If Adoniram's got something catching, we'll have to come for him again when he gets well. And he started up the engine and drove off. Darn it, said Freddie. Wouldn't you think of it before? Wouldn't you think it would be enough for them just to see the signs? If they call up Mrs. Bean, she'll tell them that Adoniram isn't sick, and they'll come back. I could stick around and answer the phone when it rings, said Jinx, if you can get Mrs. B out of the house for a while. Can't you have a fit or faint away or something? Hey, look, Freddie, said Georgie. Hadn't somebody ought to warn Adoniram? I mean, if these people go to Cinterboro, they might see him. Good gracious, I never thought of that, said the pig. But we can't get there before they do. I could, said Ferdinand, who was sitting on the fence listening to the conversation. Main Street in Cinterboro is no place for a crow, Ferdinand. You know that. But wait a minute. How about a friend of yours, Jinx? That wasp. What's his name? Fellow that came in first at the free-for-all insects cross-country run last year? Jacob, said Jinx. Sure, he'd go. I'll get him, said Jinx, and dashed off. Crystal Dragons, hi, and hello, Stylus. Now I'm going to faint. What? All right, said Freddie. That fixes it. Now I'm going to faint. No giggling, you fellows. And he walked out into the middle of the barnyard, gave a loud squeal, and fell over on his back, with all 4 feet in the air. Meanwhile, Jacob, swiftly instructed by Jinx, crawled out of his nest under the eaves of the barn, saw that his sting was in working order, because you never know, he said, when you may have to fight your way out of a tight spot, and took flight. He spiraled up until he was over the barn, and then, with all 4 wings whirling, aimed like a bullet for Cinterboro church spire. He had gone about 4 miles when he saw below him on the road Adoniram's aunt and uncle chugging along in the same direction. He overhauled them swiftly, then swooped down and flew just above them for a way, listening to their conversation. You wait till I get my hands on him, Adoniram's uncle was saying. I'll bet he won't try to run away again. I wonder how he'll like being locked up in the cellar on bread and water for a week, said Adoniram's aunt. Jacob swooped down and lit on the seat just beside them. He took out his sting and polished it on the upholstery and looked longingly at the back of Adoniram's uncle's neck. But then he shook his head regretfully. Mustn't exceed orders, he said, and he rose with an angry buzz and made them both duck and flew on. That made them both duck and flew on. Jacob flew up and down Main Street, looking in the windows and back and bakeries and candy stores for Bertram and Adoniram. They weren't anywhere in sight, but at the curb in the front of Cinterboro Cinema, palace, he saw the old phaeton with Hank asleep between the shafts. So he flew into the theater. It was very dark inside. After the sunlit street, he couldn't see a thing. He flew down the aisle, buzzing rather loudly in his nervousness, and several people crouched down and said, "Look out, there's a wasp in here." And one old lady made a pass at him and hit the man next to her on the ear. The man hadn't heard Jacob, and he was naturally surprised, and gave the old lady a shove. Then he saw that she was an old lady and started to apologize, but by that time the old lady was mad, so she hit him again. And another man behind him, who had seen him shove the old lady, also hit him. And the first man got really mad and hit the second man, and everybody shouted, "Quiet, quiet! Throw them out!" And two more men joined in, and in about 2 minutes, half the people in the theater were arguing and shoving each other, and 5 fights had started. But Jacob was sitting on the big chandelier above it all, looking for Adoniram. Pretty soon the noise got so bad that the movie stopped and the lights went on. A lot of people were starting out for the door, and among them Jacob at last saw the two he was looking for. There was no use trying to get Adoniram's attention, so he dropped down and lit on Bertram's necktie, and leaned out and waved his feelers in front of the little window at Ronald to attract Ronald's attention. "Wait a minute, Adoniram," said Ronald, and he pulled some levers, and Bertram sat down in a seat, and Adoniram sat down beside him. Then he opened the door and let Jacob in, and after he had heard the news, he told the boy about it. "You stay here," he said. "I'll go outside and scout around." By now the people had quieted down, and the show had started again, so Adoniram was perfectly willing to stay. Ronald steered Bertram out and woke Hank up and told him to go around into the back street. "Then," he said, "I'll sneak Adoniram out, and we can take back the road home." He had just finished talking to Hank when, rattling down Main Street, came the car containing Adoniram's relatives. And then Ronald made a mistake. They were not looking for him, he knew, and he had forgotten that Bertram's face looked exactly like Adoniram's, so he didn't move, and Adoniram's aunt saw him. "There he is now," she yelled, and jumped right out of the car and grabbed him by the arm. "Goodness, what'll I do?" said Ronald to the wasp. He had to whisper so it wouldn't be Bertram that spoke. "Shall I run?" They couldn't possibly hold on to Bertram. "You can always get away later," said Jacob. "Get in with them. You'll be leading them away from Adoniram." "You get into the car, you wicked wretch," said Adoniram's aunt. "I'll teach you to run away from home." And she gave him a slap. And then she gave a yell of pain, for of course Bertram's cheek was made of wood. Your phone is overheating? Oh. We're almost done with the chapter. Hypaxid. Not wrench. Wretch. Like wretched. Okay. Then she gave a yell of pain, for of course Bertram's cheek was made of wood. When he saw his wife hopping around and shaking her hurt hand, Adoniram's uncle got mad, and he jumped out and bundled Bertram into the back seat of the car. "You will strike your aunt, will you?" he said vindictively. You wait till we get home, you young man." And he backed the car around and started off up the street. "I don't like this much," whispered Ronald. "Don't be silly," said Jacob. "They can't do a thing to you. It's just as if you were in a fort. No, you stick it no, you stick it out a while. I'll fly back and report at the farm, and then I'll come tell you what they say." "Well, Adoniram saved my life," said Ronald, doubtfully. "So I suppose I ought to do what I can." "That's the spirit," said the wasp. "Well, so long. Don't worry, I'll be back." "So long," said Ronald, as he opened the little door. Then he gave a deep sigh and settled himself firmly on his perch. There we go. Oh. Snowfang, hi. Wow. What am I reading? I was reading Freddy the Pig, The Clockwork Twin. Wow, so the Clockwork Twin is going back with the uncle and aunt. Sorry. Alright, bye guys. Thank you for watching the live stream. Oh. Basically what happened is the I missed you too, Addie. Bye. Bye, Toonsy. Yeah, so the aunt and uncle came to get the boy, but instead they got the clockwork boy that they made as a playmate for Ad Niram. Alright, I'm gonna go now. Bye. Thank you for watching.